Hello and welcome to Digital PR Uncovered with me, Joanna Earle. I'm Head of Content and Digital PR at Reflect Digital.
And I'm Jess Alexander, Digital PR Manager at Reflect Digital.
And today we're talking about mastering AI to drive authority, build visibility and trust. So we're going to go through the evolving role of AI in digital PR, the key do's, so the smart ways to integrate AI into your digital PR strategies, the key don'ts, so the pitfalls to avoid, and the real life use cases and what still needs that human touch as well. So the evolving role of AI in digital PR. So the search is changing forever. We can't unsee that, we can't change that, and you have to be ready for that. We have actually carried out a recent search pulse over the last 6 months looking into how people are searching online. And it's found some really interesting figures, but also essentially search used to just look like this, but today it looks more like this. So there are various ways people are searching online. And this just shows that we then have to tailor our PR strategies, our digital PR strategies, our SEO strategies, our paid strategies to reflect that. So how AI is changing search and why AI matters. So AI is completely changing how people search for and find information online, as I showed you before, and that makes digital PR more important than ever. So Rand Rushkin of SparkToro, who is the previous founder of the SEO tool Moz, has recently said that the ability to influence how people write about, talk about and publish about you on the web directly impacts how AI tools respond to questions about your brand, your field, and whether they include you when prompt is asked about the problems you solve. So you really have to bear that in mind with digital PR. So traditionally, PR has been known as a top of funnel activity focused purely on brand awareness. But in the age of AI search, its influence extends much further than that now. So seeing those positive brand mentions on trusted national news websites doesn't just introduce potential consumers or customers to your company, it shapes those perceptions that builds that trust and influences decision making at every stage of the customer journey. So you can see here that what we've done for Suncell, one of our companies that we work with, is the best hidden gems in Greece. They really wanted to target their Mediterranean locations. So obviously Greece here. We tapped into the best hidden gems because that was trending at that particular time and what people are looking at, particularly in 2025, when they're looking for hidden gem holidays. And we've shown up in those AI overviews for being mentioned in the Mirror. So that just proves that what we're doing is working, but essentially appearing in those high authoritative publications and being cited in those AI overviews when people search for best hidden gems in Greece. So it all taps into that and makes sure that we are doing what we're doing and it is working. So it reinforces that credibility, it drives that engagement or prompting that action. And digital PR now plays that crucial role beyond that awareness. So combining AI and digital PR, so Google's search generative experience is reshaping how brands and content ranks, as I've kind of showed you before. It's not just ranking in position 1, it's actually appearing in those AI overviews and those citations. Digital PR is now central to total search, so it's not just SEO and paid now, it's actually bringing it together with digital PR and we're all working together on that same, on those same campaigns and those same KPIs and making sure that AI is integrated as part of that total search experience. And AI also acknowledges the expertise, the experience, the authority and the trust which is vital that Google essentially wants. It's never going away. It's needing even more to make sure that we are appearing at top of the search. So digital PR is now a core lever in how brands are discovered, ranked and chosen, and it's not just by humans, but by AI. So in order to become more visible, by developing a strong EEAT-led content strategy and combining the efforts of both SEO and digital PR, we've helped to better inform generative search results and that we're someone to recommend in these types of search results. So again, we can see here that for our client Hopes Grove Nurseries, we've been cited in the Independent. We're appearing, our Hopes Grove Nurseries website is appearing in those citations as well, and we're appearing in the Daily Express for how to prevent nosy neighbours, and that's essentially what we want to be targeting. And equally, the products are being listed as well. So that's like what we need to be doing, all working collaboratively together to make sure that we're feeding those AI tools what it needs for us to show up and get our brand showing up in those AI overviews. So what AI can and can't do. So in digital PR, we use AI for trend spotting and media monitoring. I'll go into that in a bit more depth shortly. That ideation, so the headlines, the campaign hooks and those angles, the competitor and coverage analysis and the data analysis as well. So any search volume and backlinks, etc. But also if we have tons of data to look through, rather than manually doing it, we will use AI and ask that to analyse the data.
I was just going to say something just on the use of AI. It's helpful in when we pitch writing. Mm-hmm. So if we're crafting a pitch and we just kind of want to run it through AI to see if we can get the tone of a particular publication that we're sending it to, and it kind of helps kind of change wording slightly, use different subject lines, and also been using it to kind of get a grasp on the kind of best times to pitch for certain publications as well.
That you've recently had good success with that as well.
Yes, so recently pushed a campaign around the hosepipe ban for our client Hopes Grove Nurseries, and for each individual journalist and publication we really tailored the pitch so it was relevant to how their tone of voice, how they write, and the types of like headlines that are going to kind of make the headline piece.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and you had lots of success as well. Yes. So it's brilliant. Do use AI to spark the ideation. Do fact check all AI generated content, especially when you're sending it to journalists, because they will just delete the message, the email essentially. They won't trust us, they won't want to come back to us, and then therefore those relationships have effectively gone. So it's really important to check all the content that if you are including it in your press releases and pitches, that you have to fact check. And do use AI for speed, but not shortcuts. That is a similar sort of thing. Don't use it just to quickly get a bit of data and it's actually wrong data. Again, going back to the fact check-in, really make sure you are. And the don'ts. So don't send press releases written entirely by AI. A journalist will see straight through that. It will then delete our press releases that we've worked so hard on. Don't assume AI knows your client's tone, its history or brand nuances. Don't rely on AI for media relations. There will be some that you can, in some instances you could do it for bulk sending out, but again that kind of defeats the point of sending out that human approach and that human touch. So use it as and when and sporadically if you can use it for being efficient, then I definitely would recommend it, but typically we would always use that human approach. Don't ignore copyright and legal concerns of AI generated visuals and text. And don't pitch journalists with AI suggested subject lines without editing, because sometimes they can come up and throw up some really not so great headlines that you probably won't want to use, that isn't really relevant to that particular publication or those audiences. So really, like, if they do, then just tweak it accordingly. And don't let AI remove the emotional and the empathetic side of PR. So be that human, go back to basics, just be that good PR person, making sure you are tapping into their emotional needs. If they've perhaps been out of office for a few weeks off sick, like, AI won't know that. So, say, how are you? I know it sounds basic, but it's just being that human and that personable approach. The tools we use and why. So where we use AI in a digital PR process. So in the auditing and the benchmarking, so we use our social listening and brand sentiment analysis tool, Meltwater, to understand a brand's current positioning and its competitor landscape, which is a really effective tool. I'll go into that shortly. We use it for brainstorming sessions. We make sure that we, if you have an idea, tap it into ChatGPT, see what it comes back with, and it can spark just another way of looking at it. So I definitely would recommend it for those brainstorming sessions, but bring in those ideas to the sessions that particularly we run here at Reflect. We can then craft that and tailor it to the audiences of the particular brand, the brand itself, and just gather the insights that we can and really shape some really nice campaigns. We use it as part of the EEAT-led content digital PR. So we build stories and outreach campaigns that reinforce that EEAT, which is crucial for visibility in those AI-powered search environments, as I explained before. So using AI tools to help check work and look for improvements. So you can tap in to see where actually, if your brand's appearing in this AI overview and you're not, then you can look at that and you'll be like, okay, well, we want to make sure we're targeting those particular keywords and phrases, and how we can improve upon that. And then targeted outreach. So we can use AI to help identify high value targeted publishers and publications, a place to build meaningful, relevant and authoritative backlinks that help drive that impact. So sometimes, I mean, we have our press lists, but if we can use tools like Meltwater, then they may suggest some other publications we may not have on our press list and we may not have thought of. So it's just using it to help make us, yes, one, efficient, but actually to expand our own knowledge as well. So it is really useful. As I mentioned before, so we use Meltwater for building our press lists and for monitoring when we do get covered in press, but we can also use it. They have a really super AI tool where you can ask it questions and it will give you the prompts that perhaps you can't think of, and you know what you want, but actually they've got it there. They've got some really great prompts for you. You can do a media brief, you could look at industry news, consumer insights, the news and trends and topics related to your brands and your company. And it will pull up some really lovely stats and some citations where you can look and you can really delve into it. And it's actually really useful to then, it's client facing, you can give it to a client if, you know, with that, once you've done the human check, just to double check. But it's a really useful tool if you need to be quick as well, and you can quickly send something over to your client, and they can have a really good look at it and see actually, yeah, it backs up what we're saying to them as well. So that's a really useful tool. We also use Coverage, but they have some really great free tools actually on their site. And one of them is similar to Meltwater, but obviously you don't have to pay. So you can type in a particular product or a particular category related to your brand or a particular topic, and it will pull up some where they've been cited or where it's being cited, the top brands that are being cited in particular in AI overviews as well. So again, if your competitor is, you can sort of say, oh, actually, we need to be doing that and we need to be doing X, Y, Z in our strategy to be able to do that. So that's a really useful tool, again, for that brand analysis piece. And then, of course, we can't ignore the fact that ChatGPT and Gemini are also very useful in terms of research as well. And again, as what Jess was mentioning before, to tweak your pitches and to tweak your press releases for particular publications, etc. So yeah, they're really good. And then KPIs, AI can help impact or enhance. It's important to use this and think about this when you're thinking about your KPIs. So brand mentions, so AI-powered media monitoring can track mentions across the web in real time. AI overviews inclusion, so well-structured, expert-led content improves the chances of being cited in AI-generated results. Search visibility, so there's impressions, so AI can support content creation that boosts the visibility in SERPs and SGE. And then EEAT signals, so AI can identify gaps in your site or your brand's experience, expertise, authority and trust. So if it lacks author bios, there's weak backlink profile, it can look at that for us and we can identify that. So it's really useful, and that's where we can help contribute to our KPIs. And then KPIs that still need that human insight. So we're looking at media sentiment. AI may misread sarcasm, tone or brand alignment. And with Meltwater, sometimes it will pull up that, you know, some of these pieces are negative. And when we go to reporting, we would always say to our client, yes, it's coming up as negative, but look at what the words around it. We'll look at the piece as a whole.
I think that happens a lot with every paw. I think when we're doing like an expert vet is issuing warnings about dog safety or health, and the Meltwater will pull it out as a kind of a negative piece, but actually it's positive in the fact that they're issuing that warning to help consumers. Absolutely.
So that's where it's really just useful just to tell the client, you know, explain to the client about that. But it's just you still need to have that human approach to it. As I mentioned before, the journalist relationships, the trust timing, the pitch personalisation are all human-led. AI can't build that real rapport, as I mentioned before, and even just asking how they are, like asking if you want to go for a coffee, it can't do that. So it still needs that human approach. And then the coverage quality, so knowing whether a placement aligns with the brand strategy or is generally valuable. It's not just a link. It now requires that PR experience, so you have to have that as well. So some of our clients may not want to be in the Sun or the Daily Star or the Daily Mirror, but actually, you know, yes, they've got a link, but is it part of their brand strategy? And if it's pulling up in like the reporting said, this is great, it's actually, well, we need to just narrate the story around that, and knowing what's quality and what's not. So it's really important to keep the human approach for the brand tone, the nuance and the empathy, for the client's strategy and the storytelling, the reactive PR, so that real-time judgment. So again, it can't necessarily say, okay, this journalist is looking for X, Y, Z. Like, we have to be looking for that and make sure that we're always on top of it. And then that final press release, sign off, and those statements, if something has happened in the press, if it's more of a crisis comm situation, it's best to keep that human approach for that as well, because the journalist will read straight through that. And especially relationships with journalists, as I've been saying all about this before, there's just some examples of the types of emails that we get from our main contacts that we work for. And it's just nice to know, that we are human, we are trustworthy, we're fast, we're accurate with what we're sending over, and they really appreciate that. And then that just reflects in all the coverage that we are getting for our clients on a monthly basis, which is brilliant. So the golden rules of digital PR and AI are effectively, AI obviously boosts that productivity. It's fantastic in that sense. It helps enhance the creativity. So going back to the brainstorming sessions, it's really just gives us that other angles we may not have thought about, or avenues that we could go down. It helps to inform those decisions, but it never will replace the journalistic standards that are always set amongst journalists and digital PRs as well, and what we're trained in. I think that's it. Thank you ever so much for watching Digital PR Uncovered. We'll see you next time.